If you're a man over 60, I need your full attention. What I'm about to share could transform how you feel about your body, your energy, and your manhood. For decades, I've seen men blame their age, genetics, even past decisions for the slow, often unnoticed, decline in their sexual performance. But what if the real issue was right there, on your plate? The truth is, most men over 60 unknowingly deprive their erections every single day. Not through bad habits, but by lacking key nutrients, and it's costing them strength, self-confidence, and the intimacy they once enjoyed. I'm Dr. Girag Mihai, a board-certified urologist and men's health expert. For more than 20 years, I've helped thousands of men, just like you, regain their vitality. Not just in the bedroom, but in their daily lives. Through years of research and patient success stories, I've uncovered something powerful. You don't need another prescription. You don't have to accept this decline as your new reality. The solution might lie in 5 simple vegetables, backed by science, proven to boost blood flow, increase natural testosterone, and restore strong, lasting erections in men over 60. In just a moment, I'll walk you through each one, what to eat, how it works, and when to use it. Be sure to stick around until the end, because I'll reveal the single most effective vegetable to eat before bedtime. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share could be the difference between quietly fading or stepping confidently into the best years of your life. The first vegetable might already be in your refrigerator, and it's more powerful than you think. But before we dive in, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. I share real, actionable advice specifically for men over 60, and I don't want you to miss what's coming next. And if this topic resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. And tell me what topics you'd like to hear more about. Your feedback helps me serve you better. Now, let's get to the heart of it. These aren't exotic superfoods or costly supplements, just simple everyday vegetables you can pick up at your local grocery store. But when used correctly, they can greatly improve blood flow, balance hormones, and help you perform like the man you once were. Let's begin with the first, and perhaps most underrated, vegetable that can naturally and safely help restore your erection strength. Vegetable number 1, beets, nature's blood flow booster. I'll never forget when one of my longtime patients, a retired school principal named Alan, walked into my office. He was 68, proud and confident, but there was a sadness in his eyes. He leaned in and said, "Doc, everything else in my life feels fine, but down there it's like something's gone numb. I eat healthy, I walk every morning, but when it's time to be intimate, nothing works like it used to." That moment stuck with me, because I've heard it from countless men like Alan. Men who do everything right, yet still quietly lose a part of themselves they once took for granted. I told Alan exactly what I'm about to tell you. It's not about your age, it's about your circulation. Erections, after all, are all about circulation. And for many men over 60, the real issue isn't desire, it's the plumbing. If blood can't move freely through your arteries, it simply won't reach the penis, with the pressure or the volume required for a strong erection. That's where beets come into play. Beets happen to be one of nature's richest sources of natural nitrates, compounds your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the key to relaxing blood vessels, widening their walls, and allowing blood to flow smoothly. Simply put, more nitric oxide equals better circulation. And better circulation means stronger, fuller erections. And science backs this up. Clinical research shows that dietary nitrates from beets can enhance vascular health, lower blood pressure, and support improved oxygen delivery throughout your entire body. For men like Alan, who aren't interested in depending on little blue pills for life, this can be a complete game changer. But it's not just about what's inside beets, it's about how they work in the male body after 60. As we get older, our bodies naturally produce less nitric oxide. That's one of the key reasons why men begin experiencing weaker erections, more fatigue, and even memory lapses. Beets help bridge that gap by providing the raw building blocks your body needs to reignite that inner engine. I generally recommend beet juice for the quickest results. Around half a glass, 3 to 4 times a week. However, roasted or steamed beets work very well too, particularly when paired with healthy fats like olive oil, which improve nutrient absorption. Some men even toss beets into smoothies with apples or carrots, creating a potent, circulation-boosting blend that benefits the body far beyond the bedroom. Alan took this advice seriously. Within 6 weeks, he returned with a new spark in his eyes. He wasn't just enjoying stronger erections. He was sleeping more deeply, walking faster, and even laughing more often. He told me, "I never imagined something so simple could make me feel like myself again." That right there is why I do what I do. If you've noticed yourself slowing down, physically or sexually, remember this: your body still wants to perform for you. It just needs the right fuel. Beets may not be glamorous or trendy, but within that deep red root lies a natural formula your body understands perfectly. It isn't a drug, it's not a gimmick, it's simply food working with your biology to help you feel alive again, one heartbeat at a time. And speaking of often overlooked vegetables with powerful effects, the next one on our list is something Popeye famously loved, but not for the reason you might think. This leafy green does much more than build muscle. It directly impacts both testosterone and blood flow. And when you hear how it works in the male body after 60, you'll want to add it to your plate tonight. Let's get into it. If you're still here and this message is resonating with you, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're ready to reclaim your strength. Now, let's move on to the next powerhouse vegetable. Vegetable number 2, spinach. The leaf for erections and energy. When most people hear spinach, they picture cartoon muscles or those childhood dinners they once tried to avoid. But for me, spinach represents something entirely different. I think of energy, of vitality, of blood flow. I think of one of my patients, Carl, a 72-year-old widower who had recently remarried. Carl came into my office with a smile, but beneath it was a quiet anxiety. "Doc," he said, "I love this woman. I never thought I'd find love again at this stage in life, but I'm scared. Scared I won't be enough for her. Scared my body can't match what my heart feels." That hit me hard, because that silent fear of not being enough is something many older men carry privately. But here's what I've learned over the years. Sometimes the answer isn't complex. Sometimes it's as simple as what you're putting on your plate. Spinach is one of the most overlooked erection-supporting foods I know. It's loaded with magnesium, a mineral essential for dilating blood vessels and enhancing circulation. And when your circulation improves, so does your ability to achieve and maintain a strong erection. Magnesium also plays a vital role in supporting testosterone, the hormone responsible for male energy, strength, and libido. As men get older, testosterone naturally declines. But spinach can help slow that process by supporting your body's hormone balance in a safe and natural way. But that's not all. Spinach is also a rich source of folate, a B vitamin crucial for promoting healthy blood flow to the pelvic region. Low folate levels are linked to erectile dysfunction, particularly in older men. Spinach also helps combat inflammation, protect blood vessels, and support nerve function, all critical factors when you're working to reignite intimacy. I told Carl to start adding spinach to his meals, a handful here, a quick sauté there. Nothing elaborate, just consistency. He took the advice seriously. He began adding spinach to his morning eggs, tossing it into soups, and blending it into smoothies with bananas and almond milk. Nothing extreme, just simple, steady steps. When he returned for his follow-up 2 months later, his energy was noticeably different. "Doc," he said, "I feel like I'm waking up. I'm more present, more confident. And the other night with my wife, and no pressure, no awkwardness, it just happened. Like my body remembered who I am." That is the power of nutrition. Not in crash diets or complicated supplements with unpronounceable names, but in real, whole foods that speak your body's natural language. Spinach may not be flashy, but it's a powerhouse. A daily dose of this leafy green sends a powerful message to your body. I still care. I still want to live well. I still want to love. And if you're feeling skeptical, I get it. Maybe you've tried things before. Maybe you've faced disappointment. But food, real food, doesn't lie. It doesn't promise instant miracles. But with time and consistency, it can deliver lasting transformation. Give it the chance it deserves. Now, we've already talked about blood flow and testosterone. But what if there was a vegetable that not only supports circulation, but also helps cleanse the arteries that fuel your erections? A natural ingredient that works from the inside out. Like nature's built-in detoxifier, quietly used for centuries to boost performance and desire. The next vegetable may not be sweet or glamorous, but it's one of the most powerful roots in your kitchen, and its benefits extend far beyond the bedroom. Let's dive in. Vegetable number 3, garlic, the bedroom root. I'll be honest, garlic doesn't exactly scream romance. It's pungent, it lingers, and frankly, it's not the first thing you want on your breath before date night. But let me share a story that might forever change how you think about it. A few years back, I had a patient named Ray, 74 years old, retired Navy. He still walked with purpose. But behind his eyes, you could sense something was weighing on him. He wasn't sick, he wasn't frail, but he felt invisible. "Doc," he said, "my mind is still sharp. But my body doesn't respond the way it used to. I feel like I'm fading, as if the man I used to be is slipping away." I asked Ray about his diet and his daily routine. Then I gave him a suggestion that made him burst out laughing. "Garlic." "Garlic," he chuckled. "That's what my mother gave me when I had a cold." And I smiled. "Exactly. Your mother was onto something, but what she didn't know is that garlic may also hold the key to helping you get back into the bedroom. Garlic contains a compound called allicin. It's what gives garlic its strong aroma, and also what makes it so powerful. Allicin improves blood flow, reduces arterial plaque, and promotes healthier circulation throughout your entire body. And we're not just talking about your heart or your brain. We're talking about the blood vessels that directly support your erections. You see, as we age, our arteries naturally stiffen. Plaque builds up, reducing blood flow to the areas that need it most. Garlic acts like a natural cleanser, helping keep your blood vessels open, relaxed, and flexible. And that's the foundation of a healthy, lasting erection. Blood flowing freely without obstruction or resistance. But garlic does even more than support circulation. It also aids testosterone production. Research shows that garlic enhances the release of luteinizing hormone, which in turn signals your body to produce more testosterone, the fuel behind libido, drive, and sexual stamina. Ray was skeptical, but he agreed to give it a try. I advised him to start small. Just 1 or 2 cloves of raw garlic daily, chopped and left to rest for 10 minutes before adding it to his meals. That 10-minute rest time activates the allicin. It's the difference between simply eating garlic and letting garlic work its magic. We also talked about timing. Garlic works best when added to dinner, helping support overnight vascular health and hormone balance, both of which are key for those early morning erections many men begin to lose as they age. 6 weeks later, Ray walked back into my office. This time, he was smiling before he even sat down. "Doc," he said, "I didn't expect much, but I feel alive again. My energy is up." My wife noticed I've been more affectionate, more engaged. And last weekend, well, let's just say we didn't need a movie to enjoy our evening together. That's exactly what I want for every man watching this. Not just a stronger erection, but a spark. Something that reconnects you with the man you've always been. Garlic isn't some miracle drug. It's a tool. A natural, potent tool that supports what your body already knows how to do. I always remind my patients, you don't need to become someone new to reclaim your masculinity. You simply need to remove the barriers and allow your body to do what it was built to do. Garlic helps with just that, starting with improving circulation and ending with renewed confidence behind closed doors. Now, while garlic can help drive blood flow and hormone support, what if there were a vegetable that could quietly boost your testosterone? Not by improving circulation, but by flipping a hormonal switch your body may have forgotten about. This next vegetable may not look impressive. In fact, you've probably walked past it countless times at the grocery store. But inside this crunchy, unassuming stalk lies one of the most surprising secrets to male vitality, and it works faster than you might think. Let's get into it. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here and that this message matters to you. Now, let's move forward with the 4th powerful vegetable on our list. Vegetable number 4, celery. The hidden testosterone trick. There's a vegetable likely sitting quietly in your fridge drawer right now, perhaps buried beneath heavier groceries, maybe even forgotten. It's pale green, watery, and at first glance, it doesn't seem like much. But if you're a man over 60 and you've noticed your energy dipping, your drive declining, and your confidence fading, this simple stalk could be your hidden weapon. I'm talking about celery. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Celery? Really? I understand. It's usually considered a sidekick, a crunchy filler in tuna salad, or something we spread with peanut butter. But here's the truth. Celery holds a secret that most men simply don't know. It contains natural compounds that can help boost testosterone and subtly reset your hormonal balance in your favor. Let me share a story about George. He was 66 when he first came to see me. Tall, quiet, a former high school football coach. "Doc," he said, "I'm not the man I used to be. I don't wake up ready to move. I feel sluggish, and it's affecting every part of my life, especially in the bedroom." I reviewed his lab work. His testosterone was lower than average, but not unusual for his age. He didn't want injections or medications. "I just want to try something natural first," he said. That's when I brought up celery. Celery contains 2 potent compounds, androstenone and androstenol. These are natural plant-based pheromones that influence how your body produces and releases testosterone and how others perceive your masculinity. Yes, even affecting your scent and presence. But there's more. Celery is also rich in vitamin K, which supports healthy blood flow and cardiovascular function. 2 things matter now more than ever when you're trying to maintain a strong erection. And here's something fascinating. Celery also contains apigenin, a natural anti-inflammatory shown to enhance testosterone production in animal studies. It doesn't force your body to do anything unnatural. Instead, it helps create the internal environment where testosterone can increase naturally, safely, gradually. George took this advice seriously. He began adding celery to his morning juice alongside apple, lemon, and ginger. He also started snacking on celery sticks in the afternoon instead of chips or crackers. At first, he didn't notice much, but around week 4, something shifted. He walked into my office, sat down, and said, "Doc, I've got my mornings back. I wake up with energy again." And my wife said she noticed I'm standing a little taller, if you know what I mean. That kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens when you give your body the right signals to do what it was designed to do. Celery may not be flashy, but it works quietly, from the inside out. It supports your hormones, enhances blood flow, and provides a subtle yet steady lift. Not just below the belt, but in your overall energy, mental clarity, and sense of self. I've had several patients tell me they feel more confident and assertive after adding celery to their diet. Not aggressive, just more grounded, more aligned with who they truly are. And that's the beauty of it. Because the goal here isn't to become someone new. It's about returning to the strongest, clearest version of yourself. So if you've been feeling disconnected from your energy or your desire, don't overlook the simple things. Sometimes the smallest habits lead to the biggest changes. A single stalk of celery might be the gentle push your body's been waiting for. Now, we've talked about blood flow, hormone support, and circulation. But there's still one vegetable left. And it's quite different from the rest. It's not leafy, it's not watery, and it's not known for being romantic. But it holds something unique, a powerful blend of antioxidants and nutrients linked to improved fertility, stronger erections, and even sharper mental focus. It's sweet, it's crunchy, and chances are you haven't thought of it as a bedroom food until now. Let's dive in. Vegetable number 5, carrots. The fertility and blood flow combo. If I asked you to name a vegetable that improves eyesight, you'd probably say carrots without even thinking twice. But what if I told you that same bright orange root, something you've likely eaten hundreds of times without a second thought, could also help boost performance in another area entirely? I'm talking about blood flow, nerve function, and even fertility. Carrots may not be flashy or exotic, but they've quietly earned a powerful place in the world of men's sexual health. I remember a patient named Frank, 71 years old, a retired electrician from Michigan, a tough guy, honest eyes, hands that looked like they could still carry a ladder. But he came into my office one day carrying a vulnerability I'll never forget. He told me he'd been married for over 40 years and still loved his wife deeply. We still hold hands, he said, but when it comes to anything more, I feel like my body just doesn't show up. His voice cracked. I miss feeling like a man. That broke my heart. Not because he was broken, he wasn't, but because he had no idea just how much power still lived inside him. He simply needed the right kind of support to bring it out. That's when I introduced him to carrots. Most people don't realize it, but carrots are packed with beta-carotene and antioxidants that help repair and protect the delicate blood vessels and nerves responsible for erection strength. Over time, oxidative stress, caused by poor diet, chronic stress, aging, and inflammation, can slowly damage these systems. Carrots help fight back against this damage, restoring balance and improving function at the most fundamental level. But there's more. Carrots have also been linked to improved sperm count and motility, even in older men. And while fertility may not be a priority for most men over 60, it's not just about reproduction. It's about maintaining a healthy, active reproductive system well into your later years. Carrots also enhance circulation through their high levels of vitamins A and C, which help support vascular integrity. And let's not forget the power of fiber. Carrots help regulate blood sugar levels, a crucial factor. Blood sugar spikes and insulin resistance are major contributors to erectile dysfunction as men age. Keeping those levels stable helps preserve sensitivity, blood flow, and hormonal health, all of which are key for both performance and pleasure. Frank took this advice to heart. He started eating raw carrots as an afternoon snack. He began roasting them, with a touch of olive oil and garlic for dinner. Sometimes he'd juice them with apples in the morning, something simple to sip on before his daily walk. Within a couple of months, I noticed a change. His energy felt lighter, his tone was different, and when he told me, "We've been close again," and not just emotionally, I saw something even more important return to his expression. Pride. That's what food can do, not in a single bite or overnight, but gradually, with consistency and intention. Carrots don't just support the biology of arousal, they nourish the emotional space where confidence begins to grow again. For men like Frank, and perhaps even for you, that renewed confidence is priceless. You don't need to completely overhaul your life to start feeling like yourself again. Sometimes it's as simple as giving your body what it's quietly been asking for all along. Carrots remind us that healing and performance don't always come from a lab. Sometimes they come straight from the earth. Now, we've explored 5 powerful vegetables that work throughout the day, boosting blood flow, balancing hormones, and supporting overall energy. But there's one more I've saved for last. This one isn't meant for your morning smoothie or your lunchtime salad. It's designed for bedtime. It works while you sleep, restoring circulation, boosting overnight testosterone production, and preparing your body for the kind of mornings you may not have experienced in years. It's simple, it's often overlooked, and it might just be the most important vegetable on the entire list. Let's dive in. Vegetable number 6, the one vegetable before bed. The final secret. There's something powerful about what happens inside a man's body while he sleeps. It's when your systems reset, when hormones are produced and blood vessels undergo repair. And if you're over 60, those nighttime hours can either help you reclaim your strength or slowly cause your body to drift further away from it. That's why what you eat before bed matters more than most people realize. And tonight, I want to introduce you to one final vegetable that could make a world of difference. It's not fancy, it's not expensive, but it's one of the few foods I recommend specifically for the evening, for men who are serious about regaining their energy, confidence, and performance. That vegetable is asparagus. I still remember one patient in particular. His name was Walter, 75 years old, a retired accountant, polite, reserved, the kind of man who rarely spoke about feeling, especially in a doctor's office. But one day, after we'd reviewed his lab results and discussed his declining testosterone levels, he said quietly, "I just want to feel useful again, you know? Like I've still got something to give." That stuck with me, because I knew he wasn't just referring to work or chores. He was talking about connection, about being present, about intimacy. So I asked Walter to try something a little different. Not a pill, not a supplement, just a simple adjustment to his evening meals. I suggested he start adding steamed asparagus to his dinner, 3 nights a week. Lightly sautéed, not overcooked. A small handful of stalks, drizzled with olive oil, maybe a sprinkle of sea salt. It seemed almost too simple. But here's what many people don't realize. Asparagus is packed with nutrients that work in sync with your body's natural overnight recovery systems. Asparagus is rich in folate, which supports both blood flow and nerve function. It also contains glutathione, a powerful antioxidant that fights oxidative stress, the same stress that can damage tissues needed for achieving and maintaining erections. And it's a great source of vitamin E, a nutrient strongly linked to hormone regulation and natural testosterone production. But the true magic of asparagus lies in how it supports the male body after dark. Most testosterone is produced during sleep, especially during the early morning hours. If your body isn't getting the right nutrients in the evening, that hormonal wave can flatten. And that's often where the slow decline begins. Reduced libido, lingering fatigue, and the kind of quiet erosion that leaves many men wondering where their spark went. When Walter returned for his follow-up, I noticed the difference before he even sat down. His face had more color. His posture carried a quiet confidence. He told me, "Doc, I've been sleeping better. I'm waking up feeling more ready, not just sexually, but mentally. It's like something inside me has been refilled." That's the goal. Not just stronger erections, but a stronger, more vibrant life. Asparagus works because it aligns with your body's natural rhythm. It supports those internal processes without force or disruption. It doesn't simply get you through the night, it prepares you for the next day and for every moment you want to reclaim. It's a form of quiet support that builds gradually until one day you realize you're no longer wishing for a better version of yourself, you're living it. So if you've made it this far and you've absorbed everything we've covered, the power of beets, spinach, garlic, celery, carrots, and now asparagus, you're probably asking yourself one important question: what do I do now? How do I take this knowledge and turn it into real lasting change? Because knowing is just the beginning. The next step, the most important one, is exactly what we're going to talk about now. And if you've ever questioned whether your best years are truly behind you, these next few words might just change your mind. Let's finish strong. Conclusion. If you've made it this far, I want to take a moment to speak to you directly, not as a doctor, but as someone who's witnessed firsthand what age can do to a man's spirit and what the right choices can do to restore it. You've just discovered 6 powerful vegetables. Not pills, not trends, not gimmicks, just real, whole, accessible foods. Each one playing a vital role in helping men over 60 reclaim something many thought was lost for good. We started with beets, that deep red root that supercharges blood flow and helps your arteries open wide again. It's not flashy, but it addresses the root of the problem: circulation. I've watched men, initially skeptical, start waking up with stronger, more consistent erections after just a few weeks of adding beet juice to their routine. Then we moved on to spinach, a leafy green that works to support testosterone, boost energy, and help you reconnect with your sense of strength as a man. You don't need to be lifting heavy weights to feel strong. Sometimes strength comes from having enough vitality to fully show up for the people who matter most. Spinach helps you do just that, quietly, steadily, and without unwanted side effects. Garlic surprised many of my patients. They'd used it for flavor their whole lives, without realizing it could also help reduce arterial plaque and gently encourage testosterone levels upward. It's nature's repair kit, simple, powerful, highly effective. I've seen men regain not just performance, but a renewed sense of self-respect by letting garlic do what it's done for centuries. Celery turned out to be one of the quietest game changers. It's not only about blood flow, it's about restoring a man's hormonal confidence. That subtle internal shift changes how you walk, how you speak, even how others respond to you. Remember George, the patient I mentioned earlier? He found himself standing a little taller, not just physically, but emotionally. That's the power of restoring inner balance. Then we looked at carrots, sweet, familiar, but far more powerful than most people give them credit for. Carrots don't just support fertility and reproductive health. They help protect your blood vessels and nerves from the wear and tear of time. And when you start feeling a little more in control of your body, everything else in life begins to open up as well. And finally, we come to asparagus, the quiet finisher, the vegetable that works while you sleep. Supporting testosterone production, healing delicate blood vessels, and improving the quality of your rest. That one small change for many men has helped restore the kinds of mornings they hadn't experienced in years. Now, here's where I want to speak directly to your heart. Maybe you're feeling hopeful right now, or maybe you're still unsure, and that's perfectly okay. I understand. Well, this isn't always easy. For years, you've probably been told that decline is inevitable, that this is just part of getting older. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be. I've spent over 30 years helping men rewrite the story of aging. I've witnessed men in their 60s, 70s, even their 80s turn things around, and not because they bought the latest trendy supplement or followed some rigid, unsustainable diet, but because they made small, consistent choices that honored their body's natural ability to heal, to rebuild, and to thrive. You don't need to do everything all at once. You simply need to start. Begin with just one change. Add beets to your breakfast smoothie. Toss a handful of spinach into your eggs. Dice a clove of garlic into your dinner. Pick one vegetable, one action, one day, and let that be the beginning of something new. Because this isn't just about sex. It's about identity. It's about feeling useful, desired, awake. It's about being fully present in your relationships. Not as a man who is fading, but as a man who still has so much to give. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's simply waiting for you to nourish it with what it's been missing. These 6 vegetables, they aren't just ingredients. They are tools. And what you choose to build with them could lead to the most rewarding chapter of your life. So now, the next step is yours to take. And I hope, truly, that you choose to take it. Not for me, but for yourself. Because you're not done yet. You're just getting started. If this message resonated with you, if even one part made you feel seen, understood, or inspired, please take a moment to give this video a like. It helps more men like you discover this information when they need it most. You never know how much one conversation can impact someone's life. I'd also love to hear from you personally. Drop a comment below. Tell me which of the 6 vegetables you're going to try first, or which part of this video resonated most with you. I always read your comments, and your words remind me why I continue this work. Your journey doesn't end here, it begins here. Let's take this next step together.